Hello, good morning, everyone. How are you doing today? Kindly drop in a hi in the comment section if you can hear me clearly and you can see my screen. Type in hi in the comment section so that I can confirm we are both on the same page. Happy Tuesday. Okay, is that Carrie? All right, all right. Thank you for clarifying that. Hello, Pekele. All right. Thank you very much for that confirmation. 4101. Hi. Thank you for that. Pekele says he's new here. Yay. Welcome to Extra Speed Live. I'm glad to have you around and I hope you stay tuned in with us throughout the session and continue to join us every day 11 a.m. West African time. Speed 77, okay. How are you? Crypto Momo, okay. Let's see we're all on the same page. I want to see more people confirming that they can hear and see my screen. If you are there, you are yet to type. Oh, great, 959. Thank you for that confirmation. All right, all right. So we are going to be starting the day on a positive note. $100 is asking for image. Well, my screen is clear on my monitoring device. If you don't mind, you might want to shut down your system, your app, and restart it all over again so that you can get the image you're seeking. Chimula, oh, thank you. Compliments from here. Dan, Dan, Dan 22. Hi. All right. So I think with this confirmation, we might just want to start today. So once again, I want to welcome you all to Extreme Speed Live, hosted by my humble self, Sheriff Daramola. Well, as usual, I shall be taking you on a trading journey where we shall be evaluating the financial market using price action, identification of trend lines, market structures, chart patterns, and we shall be using these parameters to identify trading opportunities lining up for us during the New York session. We're actually a couple of hours away from the New York session, so we want to get ready and be prepared as much as possible so that we can take advantage of whatever potential that is lining up for us. However, it is very pertinent that I state that the first thing we're going to be doing is we are going to be looking at the pairs we deliberated on yesterday, as we had some couple of pairs, I think 4 or 5 pairs we deliberated on yesterday. We want to be looking at how well they are doing in the last 24 hours and if there are any suggestions, advices, or um, conclusions on these pairs we shall be sharing during the session. So you don't want to miss out on this. So it's very, very important. I advise you to stay tuned in, be with us throughout the session so that you don't miss out on any opportunities that we have to share with you. At the same time, if you have any pairs you want us to look at, feel free to drop it in the comment section and I will try as much as possible to add it in my schedule for today. So without further ado, let's dive into the chart and let's see what is happening. As usual, the first pair we are going to be talking about today is the US oil as usual. And in the last 24 hours, we have seen price do the bullish momentum to the upside from where we were yesterday. If you remember vividly, during the course of yesterday's trading session, we were around this point. That is, we were around this point here at around $99.50 area, where we were expecting two scenarios from this time frame. And the first scenario we're looking out for was the potential that price could probably come to the downside from this area. That is, we could see price break down this bullish trend line. We see a retest of structure to send price crashing down to the downside. And the other scenario we were looking out for was the possibility of a bullish momentum in the form of probably price is going to come down to do a retest of the key level before we see that move to the upside. However, none of these scenarios actually happened, as we saw price rejected this bullish trend line one more time to do that bullish momentum to the upside. Right now we are at around the $102 mark, which was our key level a couple of weeks ago. Appears to be holding price in a consolidation phase. As we can see, since price got to this area, we have been witnessing what looks more like an ascending channel herein. So going into the new York session, how do we intend taking advantage of this move? Well, it is very, very pertinent that we first of all have to look at what is happening on a long-term perspective, as this shall be used to gauge how where price is at the moment. If there is a possibility that price will still go to the upside, that is, if we still have more room for bullish potential on this one, we shall be seeing on a higher time frame. And if the possibility of a bearish momentum is going to be coming in, then we still need to look at a higher time frame to identify this potential. So what I want to be doing at this point is to scale up a little bit into the 4 hours time frame, where we want to be looking at what structure has been given us. Now we are right on the 4 hours time frame, and the first thing we will be observing here is that since the beginning of the month of June, we have seen that price have been on a bearish momentum drive. And why is that? If we look closely into the structure since the beginning of I think on the 8th of June, we saw our price has continued to find, sorry, I hope we can hear me clearly at this point. I think I had a little disconnection. I hope I'm very loud and clear at this point. I had a little disconnection, and I hope I'm very, very audible at this point. Please clarify that, please. I want clarifications that you can hear me. Okay, Crypto Momo is asking us on what we need to do on the EURUSD. Yes, we had the speculation on EURUSD yesterday, so we are going to be taking a look at what is happening on EURUSD after I think after the UkOil is the EURUSD. So stay tuned in so that you don't miss out on what we are going to be discussing in that regard. So I want to assume that we can all hear me clearly, because on my monitoring device here, I think I'm very, very audible. I just want to make sure that we are on the same page so that we don't, none of us miss out on this that we want to look at. Okay, 574. All right. So I want to assume that we can all hear me clearly. So the first thing we observed here on the 4 hours time frame on the US oil is that price has been on a downtrend drive. And if we look at the structure, we saw our price has been finding lower lows and lower highs since on the 8th of June. We saw our price, you can see what I'm talking about here, lower lows, lower highs, before we saw that breakdown of that major demand zone that held price supported during the later part of last month. And then we saw price came as far as coming into the $95 area during the early days of July, did a retest of $105 area to push price further down into the $90 mark. And one thing we are seeing here is more or less like price is doing a retracement back into that bearish trend line, which there is a possibility that price could be doing a reversal pattern within this area to push price to the downside from here. So on the 4 hours time frame, we all agree that price has been on a bearish momentum, and this is more or less a clue into our expectation going into the New York session, or probably going into the later part of this week. So what we want to be looking out for is this area around this point, where we want to be looking out for bearish potential around this area. And you can see that the $102 mark appears to share a confluence with that bearish trend line we've identified here on the 4 hours time frame, which makes this area also a very sensitive area, looking out for selling potentials at this point. And if we go as far back as the first week of July, we notice that we had a supply zone around this area. You can see what I'm talking about here. If we look left, we can see that this area at one point in time being a very strong selling niche for participants in the market, as we saw reversal patterns from this area. And also, if we go further left, we can see that that same area appears to be a demand zone for participants in the market, as we saw reversal patterns that push price to the upside from there in the month of June. The same thing happened here during the early days of July. We saw the significant breakdown of this area. Price came back to that area, and we saw that bearish momentum to the downside, and price appears to have come back to that same area, which has served as a demand zone in the past, and also it has also served as a supply zone. So one thing I'm going to be catching from this perspective we just identified here is that we are actually within a very strong K level, which has been a major determinant of price action in the past. So what I want to be doing at this point is to identify a K level by connecting the series of this point we identified. This point here, I want to connect this point as well, and you can see that that same point was broken to the downside from here, and then we expect that the same point here will be a major determinant of price action. But we never can tell how price is going to react at that point, because there is a possibility that price could push that side to the upside, do a breakout of structure, giving us a potential opportunity of a bullish momentum after we see a confirmation in the form of a retest of that bearish trend line to push price to the upside from here. Then at the same time, we also have the possibility that price could do a reversal pattern, probably do a sharp rejection of the zone to send price going to the downside. So to make our job easier as we head into the New York session, I want to connect the series, this level together, and using that as our yardstick going forward. So give me a moment as we bring out our line chart so that we have a specific point to connect the series together. So if we look closely into the structure, we can see that around the $105 mark appears to be most appropriate at this point. Give me a moment. Let's look at this closely. So we have somewhere around here. So our golden zone is our key level is always golden color. So I would like to give it a label for the sake of clarity. So now we have a key level, which is going to be a major area we want to be looking out for during this week. So we have a major level right now at $105 area, which I want to label and place at the right side of the screen for the sake of clarity. Okay, so here we go. We have something like this, and let's go back to our candle chart. So now this is what we have right now on the 4 hours time frame. So we have a major key level now sitting at $105 area, and very interesting enough, this key level shares a confluence with that bearish trend line were identified here. So now, there are two perspectives we want to be looking out for. Remember, we have a supply zone here, which after a reversal pattern was formed in the form of a head and shoulder pattern here, we saw price move to the downside from here. So I want to see something like a reversal pattern around this area. Price might not go as far as touching that key level at $105 area, but one thing I want to be looking out for is a reversal pattern within this area right below the key level and also the bearish trend line. It could be a double top structure, it could be a head and shoulder pattern, it could be a rising wedge. Whatever that reversal pattern is, we want to look out for this reversal pattern, then a breakdown of that reversal pattern, a breakout of structure, a retest of structure on lower time frame, then we want to join the decline to the downside from here. So that is the first scenario we want to be looking out for, and if that is going to be happening here on the 4 hours time frame, we want to be having our entry right below the $102 mark, which had served us during the course of last week trading session. We had the $102 mark, which served us, I think, a couple of weeks ago. Yes, it served us, and we want to be taking advantage of that bearish move to the downside from here. So if we are having a selling momentum, we want to look at this area right around this area on the 4 hours time frame. So we're still going to go down to the lower time frame to see how that's going to play out. However, we want to identify where our take profit target will be from this point if we have a bearish momentum from here. On a long-term perspective, if we are going to be looking for a long-term perspective selling momentum take profit target, well, if we look at the structure we have here, we have an impulsive move from this area. The last time price respected that bearish trend line was this point. And if we look at the structure, we have a what's called an impulsive move to the downside from here. So if we have an impulsive move here, we want to be extending this impulse leg into the future as our take profit target, and the only way we can do that is to use our Fibonacci extension tool. And if we bring out our Fibonacci extension tool, run it through the previous impulse leg we have here, and we aim at a 127.2 target area, we should be having somewhere around the $84 mark as our take profit target for any selling momentum. And remember, this is a long-term perspective, as this is not likely to happen this week. So if we are looking for a potential for this week, then definitely we want to be looking at somewhere around this area, which was once our key level during last week's trading session, around the $97 mark, which is also a strong demand zone. We can see every time price comes into this area, we saw potential opportunity of a bullish momentum. We saw another one here that happened. So there is a possibility that if price comes down into this area, we could see a rally from this area. So I want to be identifying the $98 mark area as our first take profit target zone around this point. Hold on. So around this point appears to be our first take profit target zone around here. So let me identify that for the sake of clarity. So we have somewhere around here as our first take profit target zone. Hold on a second. So let's label this area so that we don't get TP target for selling momentum. So let's place it right at the center of the box. All right, we have a good one there. So we have a TP target around this area, which might dovetail into how many pips that is, around at least a minimum of 500 pips to catch here if we have that move to that area. So let's adjust our position size to fit into what I was talking about. So we have a maximum of $95 area as a selling momentum for the potential we're looking at. So let's scale down to a 1 hour time frame and let's see what is happening, and let us see what pattern is forming at this point. So let's delete this for the sake of clarity. So this is what we have here on the 1 hour time frame. Let me readjust this so that it can sink into the structure of our chart at this point. So now that we have this scenario here, we have a key level that was serving us during last week's trading session, which was the $102 mark. So we want to see price break down that level at this point. We're beginning to, if a breakdown of that key level at $102 happens, then that is a signal that we are going bearish. Remember, we are not getting too excited at the sight of a signal, as we want to wait for price action to give us the confirmation we need before we join the decline. So now, if we see a signal like this in the form of a breakdown of that key level at $102 mark, which also share a confluence with the bullish trend line, this bullish trend line here. I just wave the bullish trend line here so that we can see what I'm talking about. So if we see a breakdown of both the key level here and the bullish trend line, we want to see price come back to do a retest of either the trend line or the key level to give us further confirmation that we are going bearish. And how do we get that confirmation? We go down to our lower time frame, where we look out for patterns that supports a trend continuation to the downside from here. So that is how we are getting this area that we want to enter. So we are looking forward to entering right below the $102 mark, which I've just identified here, and that is only going to happen after the confirmation has been made. So where will our stop loss target be? Our stop loss will be right below the previous low here, which is around the 100 pips here, with a take profit target of a minimum of 650 pips to catch. So we have within, hold on a second, let me do that clarification for us. So we have within this $98 mark, which is around 380 pips, to about the $95 mark, which is about approximately 680 pips to catch here. So this is my perspective here for the selling momentum on the US oil. However, remember, we always have two scenarios just in case. Since I'm not going to be around with you during the New York sessions, we always have two scenarios to look out for, because we can say price is going to do this, and during the New York session price takes another structure, and if another structure happens, you will get lost and you don't know what to do. So that's why we normally share the other perspective that could happen, and if that happens, we want to take advantage. We want to make sure we are able to take advantage of that opportunity when it comes up. So if the other scenario is for a bullish momentum at this point, now consider the long-term bearish momentum here that has been happening in the last 1 month. It is pertinent that we are very, very mindful of taking any bullish momentum here on the US oil. And the reason is very, very obvious. It is a long-term bearish momentum, for goodness sake. And taking a bullish position on this place will keep your heart in your mouth, because you will be mindful of the possibility of price taking the opposite direction of the trade you have taken. So for me on this one, I will be very conscious and advise that we hold on to our bearish perspective here. And one thing we want to understand, that even if price does a rejection of this bullish trend line and price continue to the upside from here, there is a possibility that price could still come into this bearish trend line to reject it and push price further down, or even go as far as coming into the key level we identified at $105 mark, wherever we could see a reversal pattern that would push price to the downside from there. So this scenario we have here, the market structure we have here, is screaming sell, sell, sell. However, if we do want to take a bullish momentum on this one, then definitely we want to be looking out for significant confirmation. We want to be looking for an emphatic signal that will give us that hope that we want to be buying the US oil. And that will only come if we see a significant breakout of that bearish trend line. That is, we see a breakout of that trend line, like an engulfing candle closing right above that trend line. Then we see price come back to do a retest of either the resistance, the bearish trend line and the bullish trend line, after which you look out for a reversal pattern right above that key level at $105 to push price to the upside from there. So this is an area I want to be looking out for if I'm going to be taking a bullish potential in this point. So a bullish potential can only happen if price is going right above the $105 mark, which I identified on the 4 hours time frame. So that is why I have identified this key level on the 4 hours time frame, and this major key level should be able to guide our action, as this is simple enough to see. When you see price right above that key level, you want to hold your selling bias and look out for potential opportunities in the form of a bullish momentum. And if price continue to oscillate right below that key level at $105 mark, we want to be looking for selling opportunities from here. As we can see in the past, this area has been a selling zone. It has been a selling niche, a strong strength selling niche in the past. It has been, though it been a demand zone, but before this area can be a demand zone here, we need to see a breakout of structure, taking out all the selling liquidity in the market. Price comes back down to do a retest of that structure to push price to the upside from there. So that is the only way I want to be seeing a bullish potential here on the US oil. If that does not happen, then I continue to maintain my eagle high on selling opportunities here on the US oil. I hope my illustration here are more simple and specific and clear enough for everyone in the house. However, if you have further clarifications or you need further details in that regard, feel free to drop a comment in the comment section so I can take a look at it. So I'll be taking like 10 to 15 seconds to look at the comment section to see how I can be of help in that regard. Patrick 90 is asking for EURUSD. Sure, we shall be doing something on EURUSD. But rest assured, we shared something on EURUSD yesterday, and definitely we are going to be taking a look at the development we have. So stay tuned in, and so that you don't miss out on that opportunity. Okay, 356, good morning. It's a morning here. Good afternoon anyways. 360, good afternoon, good morning. WAC 2307, good morning. 162, good morning to you. Glad to have you around. Crypto Momo, I promised you EURUSD, so we are going to look at that. Hey, 359, good morning to you. How are you? Thomas, hello, hello. Okay. So, in the absence of no question, I want to assume that my illustration was gotten clearly. So let's move on to the next pair, which is always something similar with what we used to have on the US oil. So that shouldn't take much of our time. So we move on to the US oil, where is likely we are going to be expecting the same scenario here on the US oil, on the UK oil rather. And one thing we want to be looking out for at this point, like I said on the US oil, is something that looks bearish for me. And the reason why that is, if we look closely, let me delete this please so that we can have a clear picture of the chart. So what we are saying here is this. We saw how price has been respecting this descending channel since the beginning of beginning of the month of July. This month we have seen price continue to respect this descending channel, finding lower lows and lower highs. At this point we can see how we saw how the movement has been so uniform. However, we saw a breakout of that descending channel during the early hours of this week. We saw price came as far as testing the $107 mark. And one thing we saw at this point is that we have something that looks like a consolidation phase as price continue to juxtapose between the $107 mark and the $105 level, giving us a clue into the indecision that has gripped the market at this juncture in time. So definitely from from a technical perspective, we all understand that if we do have a breakout of structure like we have here, if we do have a breakout of structure, what do you expect? Of course, we expect price to come back to do a retest of that structure. Probably it could send price crashing to the upside from here, or we could be seeing a decline in that regard. We never can tell. But let's get to this bust up first before we decide if price is going to do that move back to the upside in the form of a trend continuation, or we could be seeing a reversal pattern that will send price crashing. But one thing you want to be looking out for is what is happening right now, or in the last 7, 10, 12 hours from those points in the market. So we can see that if we look left a little bit, we can see that this area where price is at right now has been a major selling niche for participants in the market, as anytime price comes into this area, we see that selling momentum. We see that selling momentum anytime price comes into that area. So now that we are back into the same area at this point, how are we going to be seeing that selling momentum from here to come and do the retest of the descending channel that was broken out of during the early hours of yesterday? Let's see what's happening. So at this point in time, considering the consolidation phase I'm finding here, we want to scroll in, we want to zoom in to see what the structure looks like on a lower time frame, so that we can use that to determine how to take advantage of whatever potential opportunity lining up for us ahead of the New York session. So now we're going down to the 15 minutes time frame, where I want to be looking at. Hold on a second. All right, so we are here and we want to be identifying this consolidation phase at this point. So if we bring out our line chart here, I have two ways to identify this. I have the horizontal and then we have the trend. And if we look at the horizontal identification here, we can see that we have a support level here, which has held price supported since yesterday's New York session. We saw as soon as price got into this area, it got supported here. So I want to give this a purple color. Okay. Then we have a resistance point where I think around here we have a resistance point right above this area. So I don't know if it's going to take this area, but let's look at our candle chart here. But before we do, let's identify that trend. We have a trend here. So we want to use as many parameters as possible to make our job easier during the New York session. So we find it very easy to be able to identify any potential opportunity that is actually coming up. So now we have a channel. Okay, we have a channel. We can see that price has been respecting this channel since yesterday's New York session. We saw how price has been respecting that horizontal channel. So we have something that looks like a flat channel here. We saw a little breakout of the channel around this area, which I'm not sure if that is a false breakout. We're not sure yet. But one thing that we are sure of is we saw a breakdown of this bullish trend line, this temporary bullish trend line within the channel, and we are seeing something that looks like a retest of structure here. So if you are a scalper, definitely you must have taken a bearish opportunity from this point, at the rejection of a structure is a further confirmation that price is going bearish. But if you are looking at it from a long-term perspective, definitely you want to be waiting for price to actually break out of the channel. That is, we see a breakdown of the channel and then price comes back into the channel to do a retest of structure. It could be the support level becoming a resistance, or probably price comes back to do a retest of that bullish trend line we identified earlier, and we see, look out for a reversal pattern. It could be a double top structure that will send price crashing to the downside from here. So if this is going to be the case at this point, where will our entry point be? We want our entry point to be right below the channel for any selling opportunity here. as we expect that after all is said and done, that is after the breakdown, the reversal pattern is formed, we could be seeing an entry point right below that area, which also shares a a confluence with this very strong psychological level at $105 mark. So let's go back to our 1 hour time frame where we want to have a holistic view of what we're talking about so far. So if we want to be having an entry point, like I said, we want to be having an entry point right below the structure here with a take profit target sitting at around the $100 mark, or probably come as far as retesting that bearish trend line we identified earlier. So we want to be looking at a maximum of, let's say, $99.50 area. So hold on a second, let me label this. At least we have a maximum of $99.50 area where we shall be looking for our take profit target. And remember, the structure guiding this is because we saw the breakout of that structure, and since price came into this area, it appears that that bullish momentum that gripped the market appears to be losing that momentum, whereby forming a consolidation phase, and we expect price to do a retracement, and which could be a retracement into to retest that breakout of structure, probably to send price going up from here, or we could be seeing a downtrend from here, but we never can tell until where price get to that bust stop. So at this point in time, we want to be looking for a selling opportunity right below that channel, which we identified on the lower time frame. Hold on a second. So we want to be looking for an entry point right there. So where will our take profit target be at this point? We want our take profit target to be right around this area, at around at least a maximum of $106 mark, or 106.20 cents area as our stop loss, and let's see how price action plays out from this point. However, the other scenario we could be looking out for is a bullish momentum. Remember, we are still within a selling zone here. Like I showed you earlier, we have this scenario here. We have this selling niche here, and it appears we're having another selling niche at this point. So this selling niche will only be negated if we see a significant breakout of that structure. That is breakout of the channel. We have a bullish engulfing candle that strikes through all those levels to the upside. And remember, we don't get too excited at the sight of a signal, as we want to be waiting for price to do a confirmation in the form of a retest of structure before we see that bullish move. And if you look at this bullish trend line we identify on the 15 minutes time frame, it runs through like that. And if price comes back to do a retest of either that bullish trend line or the resistance level we identified here, then we want to be taking a bullish momentum at the site of a reversal pattern on lower time frame. So that is the scenario we want to be looking out for here. And if we take an opportunity right above that level, we want our take profit target to be at around this area, which has been a resistance point in the past. You can look left, we can see that this area has been a resistance point in the past. Hold on a second, let me show you clearly what I mean. So we have around the $114 mark, which has been a resistance point in the past. So what we want to be doing is to have our take profit target within that area if we see that bullish potential coming in for us, which will dovetail to about 750 pips to catch here with a stop loss right below the resistance point here. So this is the scenario we're looking out for on the UkOil. We have the perspective of a bullish potential, and as well we have the perspective of a selling potential here on the UkOil. So with this scenario we have here, it will be very, very difficult for us to have any problem when the New York session begins. So if you have any questions so far, kindly drop it in the comment section. If you need further clarifications, I will be willing to be of help. Just drop it in the comment section and I will look at it. So on this note, I think we'll need to move on to the next pair. We have 18 more minutes left. So I think I should be able to take 2 more pairs. We are going into the Forex market now. 462, okay, good afternoon. 4922, okay. All right. So if you have questions, just feel free to drop it in the comment section. I'll be checking it from time to time to see if there are any. So let's move on to the next pair. So the next pair we'll be deliberating on is the GBP USD. And the GBP USD was a pair we were expecting a bullish momentum yesterday, which finally happened. And we're actually in profit at the moment on the GBP USD. We expected price to come back to do a retest of the key level here, which happened in the early hours of today. Remember, I told you that I was in this trade right from here, and I told you that there is a possibility that price could come back to do either a retest of the key level or probably come back to do a retest of this breakout of structure to push price to the upside from here. But what thing we saw was that price came back to do a retest of the 1.19200 level, which we identify to be our key level for this week. This level appears to be guiding our actions for this week, and we saw our price came into that area to push price to the upside from here. So if you are taking advantage of that move, for you to have cited that, kudos to you. Now that we are at this point right now at where are we, 1.20280, if we look left, we can see that this level has been a supply niche for participants in the market, where it respected that bearish trend line we identified yesterday, and we saw a breakout of that structure where price came back to that level. We see that level here again, and price rejected that level one time. Then we saw price come back again into that level, and it appears we are seeing sharp rejections of that level if we look at the nature of the candles we see at that area at this point in time. So let's take a quick look at that candle there. So let's look at the candle. Okay, we can see this candle running at the moment. This candle is still about 45 minutes old, so it still have a 15 minutes lifetime to live before it gets exhausted. So let's see how this candle is going to close. And if this candle closed bearish, then definitely I will be advising you to move your stop loss to somewhere around the 1.9500 area, as there is a possibility that this area could turn out to be a double top structure, which from a technical perspective is a very strong reversal pattern. Let's label this. Which is a very strong reversal pattern. So if this candle closes bearish, then I want to advise you to remove your stop loss to somewhere at around 1.19500 area, so that you at least you don't get caught in a lost position on the GBP USD. However, my take profit target still remain at 2.11150 area. That is where I place. Okay, I think it's 2.1. Yes, 2.10. I think 2.1150 area. That's where I place my take profit target. So I'm looking at that area, which is about 180 pips move, and we have about how many pips to get to that point? We have around 90 pips to get to that point. So one thing we want to be looking out for, that's the first scenario I'm talking about. There is a possibility that if this price closes, if this candle closes bearish, move your stop loss, because there is a possibility that price could start running from that area to the downside from here. Then if we see a breakout of that level, which I said will be a reversal pattern if price rejects that level and this candle closes bearish, if we see a breakout of that structure, if you had missed out of this bullish momentum, then we want to wait for a retest of structure to join the rally to the upside, which your take profit target should be at around that bearish trend line we identified on the higher time frame. Let me show you that bearish trend line we identified on the higher time frame. So let's scale up to, I say, the 4 hours. Is it the 4 hours or the daily time frame? Okay, the 4 hours will do. At this point, we see we have a long-term bearish momentum, and we have a temporary bearish trend line here, which is the dotted black line you can see on your screen. So that is what I was explaining to you on the 1 hour time frame, that price will come back to do a retest of that area. So if we have a breakout and a retest of that structure on 1 hour time frame, our take profit could be at around the 1.21400 area mark, if you had missed out on that bullish potential we identified yesterday. after which I'm expecting a reversal pattern from that area to push price to the downside. Please remember, this bullish momentum we are taking on the GBP USD is more or less a counter trend opportunity, and if you are the type that don't feel confident or comfortable taking a counter trend opportunity, then I would advise that you hold on and let's see that bearish momentum, that bearish pattern. If we let us see price action evolve into that bearish pattern where we want to be looking to take advantage of a bearish momentum. So that is that on the GBP USD. If you have questions, feel free to drop a comment in the comment section and I shall be taking a quick look at that. So now we are moving on to the Euro USD as I have promised. Yesterday we shared something on the Euro USD, and on the Euro USD we had a bullish momentum on the Euro USD. Where's the Euro USD? Okay, I took my profit this morning on the Euro USD. I made profit here on the Euro USD. Remember, we had a take profit target initially at 1.02100 area, which is around this area. And one thing I saw was I saw the price come back down into this area, so I took another opportunity here and I extended my take profit target into the 1.02500 mark. So I took my profit, I think, a couple of hours before this session began. So now this scenario we have here on the Euro USD, before I do that, those who took advantage of that opportunity, kudos to you. Well done to you guys for you to have taken advantage of that move. Remember, the bullish potential was as a result of the reversal pattern we identified here on the 1 hour time frame. And let me show you that reversal pattern. We saw this bearish trend line. We had this bearish trend line that has been holding price action since the beginning of the month. This red dotted line I show you on your screen, I'll be waving that red line now so that you can see it. This red line. So we had that red line running, and fortunately for us, we were able to see that price action broke out of that trend line during the course of later part of last week trading session. So giving us a clue into the possible bullish potential here. And during the early hours of the week, we begin to see price consolidate within the neckline area, giving us a bullish potential. So I told you to take advantage of that move at the breakout of the key level at 1.0100 area, which we have already taken, and price has gone to the upside from here. So at this point in time, how do we intend taking advantage of any opportunity lining up for us during the New York session? So let me delete this so that we can have a clear picture of what we are talking about here. Let me delete all this one so that we can. All right. So now at this point, I would like us to go to a higher time frame so that we can have an holistic view of what price action is giving us at this point. So if we look left, we have a very simple structure at this point, and you will ask me, what structure is that? We have a strong impulsive move to the downside, and that's the impulse leg we saw here. We saw this impulse leg to the downside from here. We saw the significant breakout of a very strong demand zone in the past. We saw this demand zone that has been holding price action in the past. We saw it hold price action in the month of May. We saw it hold price action here. We saw it hold price action in the middle of June. And then we saw it hold price action a little bit in the later part of June before we saw the breakdown of that structure during the early days of this month. And then it appears price is doing a retracement of that previous impulse leg, which makes this setup a very simple one we can take advantage of. And how do we take advantage of that? Remember, if we have an impulse leg, from a technical perspective, if we sight an impulse leg, we expect price to do a retracement of that impulse leg into our golden zone area, after which we might be expecting a reversal pattern in the direction of the prior leading price action. And what do I mean by that? Hello house, can you hear me? Can you hear me? I just had a little break in transmission. Can you still hear me? Please kindly confirm you can hear me, please. Okay. Patrick, can you hear me? Okay, 359. Thank you very much for that confirmation. Oh, great. So we all understand that from a technical perspective, after we cite an impulsive move, we expect that price is going to do a retracement phase into a golden zone area, after which we look out for a reversal pattern that will support price actions movement into the prior leading price actions direction. So what am I saying here is this. We already have an impulsive move like this from 1.0600 area. We saw that impulsive move to the downside. Then it appears we are seeing a retracement phase, and we might be expecting price to do a reversal pattern right within the golden zone area that will push price to the downside from there. So how do we identify the golden zone area? You all know what I'm talking about. Our golden zone area is always the area between the 50 and the 78.6% of the previous impulse leg. So if we bring out our Fibonacci retracement tool from this point and run it through the impulse leg, what do we have? So we identify between the 50 and the 78.6%, which falls within the 1.02850 area, a very strong psychological level, and the 1.0500 mark, giving us this area as our new selling opportunity zone going forward. So I want to give this a yellow. That's okay. So we delete this. We no longer need this anymore. So one thing we want to be looking out for is this. So if you are taking advantage of that bullish potential from this point, you might want to be looking at putting your extending your take profit target a little bit into the selling opportunity zone. If we are here to take your profit. So one thing I'm expecting here is that price is likely going to come into somewhere around the 50, the 618 or the 78.6% area, after which we're going to be looking forward to a reversal pattern within this area. It could come in the form of a head and shoulder pattern, a double top structure, a rising wedge, a flag pattern, whatever pattern it comes in form. We look out for the structure. We look out for confirmations on lower time frame in the form of a breakout of structure, retest of structure, then we join the decline to the downside. Remember, we don't always get too excited at the sight of a signal, as we want to wait for confirmations to happen before we want to join the decline. So this is the scenario I'm looking out for here. So that means if you are yet to be in the trade on the Euro USD, then you want to be patient enough to wait for price action to come to you. And where are you going to be sitting? We are going to be sitting right within the selling opportunity zone, waiting for price action to come there to meet us, and we look out for patterns that support a trend continuation to the downside. And if we look left, we can see that this area at one point in time has been a demand zone which was broken. And we all understand that if price breaks a structure, if we see a breakout of structure, what do you expect? We expect a retest of that structure to push price in the direction of the breakout. So if we saw a breakout, we expect price to come and do a retest of that structure to push price to the downside. So you can see that these confluence are aligning together to give us that potential opportunity we are looking for. So we don't know when this is going to happen, but it is more important that you set your price alert within this region, waiting for price action to come to you. So now the other perspective is this. Remember, this area has been a selling opportunity zone, and this one I want to explain here is for scalpers, those who like taking trades on lower time frame. So this other perspective, you see that this area has been a selling niche for participants in the market, and that is why I was able to identify this level at 1.01900 and 1.0200 area as a supply zone. So if you want to be taking, if we look at the structure here, we look at between here and the selling opportunity zone, we still have around 170, 180 pips to catch here, 200 pips at least to catch here. So how do we take advantage of that move if it finally happens? So one thing I want to be looking out for is a breakout of that structure, which appears to have happened. We can see that we have an engulfing candle already breaking out of that supply zone. And one thing I want to be seeing is a retest of the supply zone, where I'll be looking for patterns on lower time frame to support a trend continuation to the upside. So if you want to take a short-term perspective on this one, you might want to be taking advantage of a bullish potential right above this level. Mind you, this is for those who like taking short-term trades, those who like taking trades on lower time frame, scalpers, whatever you want to call it, day traders, whatever you call it. So we look out for patterns here on the lower time frame, right above that supply zone, and we have our take profit target sitting around the probably around the 1.0 between the 1.0500 area and around 1.03500 area as our take profit target. So remember what we are going to be looking out for. We have our stop loss right below here at around 40 pips. We look out for breakout of that supply zone, retest of structure, then we can join the rally to the upside. So if you scale down to a much lower time frame at this point, let's see if we already have a breakout retest of structure. It appears we already have, but I want us to see further confirmations. Let us hold on a little bit and let's see price come a little bit back down. Probably this could take, let's say 2, 3, 4 hours. I'm not sure what that is. Price come back down before we see that move to the upside from here. So this is for counter trend traders. In fact, it can even come as low as here to do a retest before you see the move to the upside from here. But if you're a long-term perspective, you're a long-term trader, then you want to be patient enough to wait for price to come into your selling opportunity zone within the 1.0300 area and the 1.0500 area, where you want to be looking out for a reversal pattern to join the decline to the downside from here. So this is my perspective here on the EURUSD, and I hope I've made myself clear. However, if you need further clarifications and you need me to shed more light in some certain areas, feel free to drop it in the comment section and I shall be willing to be of help. Okay. So at this point, I would, it's already noon here. I'm already on the mark of my time. I think I should just start doing a recap of what we have talked about so far, after which I will be calling it a day. But still feel free to drop a comment. I'll be looking at the chat. If you have any clarifications needed, please feel free to drop a comment. So the first pair we discussed today is the the US oil rather, where we're expecting the bearish momentum. Lo and behold, we already have a signal in the form of a breakdown, retest of structure, then we could join the decline to the downside from here. So we already have a breakdown of the $102 mark. So if you had missed this, one thing we want to be doing at this point is to wait, be patient enough to wait for price to come back to do a retest of our key level at $102 area, or probably do a retest of that bullish trend line before you join the decline to the downside. Remember, our take profit target still falls within the $97 mark and the $95 mark area as we look forward to taking that profit probably during the New York session or during the early hours of tomorrow's trading session. So let's see how that plays out, and I wish you best of luck on that one. So on the UkOil as well, we have a similar scenario, and it appears price already giving us that signal we've been looking out for. We already have a breakdown of the channel, and then if you had missed that, you want to wait for a retest of the structure at this point to join the decline to the downside. But if you feel comfortable, you can still join the trade. Just know that you have an extended stop loss target to hold for your trade. So you might want to open a position with something very a loss that is very small to hold your account, to hold your risk. However, if I were you, I'll just be patient enough to wait for price to come back to do a retest of structure, and this could take hours, it could take 4 hours, it could take 3 hours, it could take 15 minutes. You never can tell. So just be on standby, not allowed to miss out on that opportunity that is lining up for us here on the UkOil. So after that, we moved on to the GBPUSD, where our bullish momentum is still valid only if we see that rejection. Okay, fine. The candle that closed there is still bullish, so we still have some leverage. So one thing we want to be looking out for is a breakout of that area to give us further confirmation that price is actually going bullish. But at this point, I would just advise you move your stop loss to 1.19500 area, or if you don't mind, if the profit you have already is enough, I think from here, how many pips is that? Around 100 pips. If it's enough for you, it's okay for you for the day. You can take a walk. But if you are not still okay, just move your stop loss a little bit to lock in some profits, and then let's see if price is going to break above the 1.20300 mark. If it breaks above, then we want to look forward to a retest of structure that would push price further to the upside. So if that is the case, if you are entering right above here, then definitely you want to be extending your take profit target. So sorry, I didn't give you that entry here. So we're expecting that if price do a breakout retest of that structure, we want to be having our stop loss right below the previous low, which is about 35 pips, and then our take profit target within the 21400 area. Let's put that 21300 just for the meantime. We don't want to be too ambitious, as we are waiting for price to come back to do the retest of this bearish trend line here, which is highlighted on your screen with the black dotted line. So that is the scenario we are looking out for on the GBP USD. Then we moved on to talk about the EURUSD, which was our last pair for the day. And on the EURUSD, we still have that bullish momentum running. Okay, sorry, we took profit on the EURUSD earlier, which I showed you. We took profit already on the EURUSD, and we are looking forward to taking advantage of a potential bullish continuation if price comes back to do a retest of the supply zone. Then we can take advantage of a trend continuation with a take profit target sitting between the 1.03500 area and the 1.0500 area. However, I explained that for those who are long-term traders who are very patient like me, I would want to wait for price to come into my selling opportunity zone, considering the long-term bearish momentum we have here on the EURUSD. So we have an impulsive move to the downside from here, so we expect price to do a retracement into our golden zone area, which has been identified within the 1.0300 area and the 1.0500 area, where I will be looking for reversal patterns to join the decline to the downside from this point. So that is my scenario here on the EURUSD. I hope I had made myself clear, and I looked through the charts. I didn't see any question whatsoever, so I'm glad that whatever I've explained so far has been of major help. So remember, during the New York session, we don't want to be too excited when we see signals. We want to be patient enough to wait for confirmations that will confirm that we are actually going in the direction that we have identified. So on this note, I want to appreciate you guys. Thank you for being around. It has been an honor for me. It has been a privilege. I really appreciate it. So, and I look forward to seeing you guys same time tomorrow, 11 a.m. West African time, same place, Extra Speed Live. And I'm very hopeful that we will be here to look at some profit again that we have taken. So on this note, I wish you best of luck during the New York session, and do have a wonderful day. Bye bye.